While there's nothing quite like basking in the summer heat with a steamy beach read, book sales have cooled off in the last couple of years. The number of people who read for pleasure is decreasing despite the rise of audiobooks. But New York Times bestselling author Romina Russell thinks that virtual reality may actually help to bring readers back into the fold.
Just like movies can bring a reader to a book, or TV can bring a reader to a book, so can virtual reality, because there's an immediacy. You also get to walk through the world of the book, which is something that a movie doesn't let you do. I think the closest would be an amusement park. So you get to actually be in the environment of the book. You're up close with the author. It's really a whole different ballgame, I think. And if you're drawn to that world and want to stay in it, you're going to pick up the books.
So here with more on virtual reality and summer reading is CNET senior producer Dan Patterson. So Dan, this is sort of an interesting topic because this is something that centuries-old entertainment options are struggling with now in this new era of technology. It's not just books, but other things that people used to do for fun. They kind of need to up the ante to keep people entertained. But books, how does virtual reality and books sort of go together to enhance each other?
Yeah, so I think just like you, Anne-Marie, I am reading aspirational, but I am just glued to a screen all the time. Romina is not just an author, but she speaks with young people, and she designed this along with a company in San Francisco called High Fidelity to be an immersive experience. It really helps you understand not just the characters, not just the plot, but the worlds that these people inhabit. And the premise here is that if you help people, you reach people where they are and you help them interact in ways that they are accustomed to interacting. And VR is still on its way. It's not massive and mainstream yet, but it's on its way. So meet people where they already are and then infuse these values of reading a book, maybe sitting under a tree or on a beach in the summertime and turning that analog page.
So her books are for kids, right?
Well, for young readers, so young adults. So think about your teenage years.
Okay, so the idea is they check out this virtual reality world and they're so enamored with it that they take off the headset or the phone or whatever and they pick up the book?
Well, right, so that you are not just seeing the sparkly world, but that you really become immersed in this world and you become empathetic with the characters and the storylines so that you can really do some pretty fascinating things. And if our values are of, hey, look, these characters are doing things that you might want to emulate. Of course, you can do some bad things there, but what she has done and what she's built is something that is, well, let's prop up books. Let's do something that enforces something that we all like to do in the summertime.
You talked about aspirational because we were talking earlier, and that is part of my problem. Part of my problem is I don't have a lot of time to read. I'm chronically sleep deprived because everybody knows I work like in the wee hours of the morning. And so sometimes when I start reading, I fall asleep. And so I end up I'm an audiobook person. But then you can also read on tablets. I mean, there are a lot of options if you want to get into a book. How is this different or better?
Yeah, so you are like so many people, Anne-Marie. And look, we just don't have time to read, but we do have time to consume. And really, it's so much. I want to say that I read books and analog books all the time. It's just so much easier for me to pick up a screen. And in the future, look, we see with virtual reality, just a few short years ago, you had to have this big, expensive box that was tethered to all of these things. The next versions of virtual reality will simply be a small little kit that you can take around with you and that you can have accessible anywhere. So really, books have to compete with that mobile experience.
I think this is a brilliant combination. This is going to sound like a little bit of a departure, but you spoke to Romina, and she spoke about being an immigrant. She came to the U.S. from Argentina, and she tries to focus in terms of the nature of her books on that immigrant experience and bringing it to other people. I just want to play a little bit of your interview.
Primarily with my first series, Zodiac, which is about xenophobia and about coming from one world to another and not knowing what your home is. Again, very much an immigrant experience. I've heard from people that they relate to once you move from your country, from your home country, like in my case, Argentina to the US, you're no longer Argentine enough for Argentina or United States enough for the US. I don't want to say American because we all are American. And so that is something that really resonated with them.
So is her hope that not only will people be enamored by the story, but they'll get something even more from the experience by adding this virtual reality option.
That is exactly right. So, look, it is one thing to build a science fiction world and have a good time in that world, and then also use that to build new readers. That's good. However, we can do a lot more. And we also see the United Nations and other organizations that are humanitarian focused use similar concepts. So we really hear the key word, we want to zoom in on the word empathy. And so when we look at the immigration experience that's occurring right now, oftentimes we can get lost in the numbers or the politics. What Romina has built here, and the intention of using virtual reality, is to help us really feel as though these are human beings. They're not just numbers. These are people who have narratives and stories and journeys that are unique to themselves and are probably pretty relatable to not just a lot of people, but a lot of future readers.
I love that. You know, I know you said it's for young adults, but I kind of want to check it out. And when I think about my daughter, she actually is a really good reader. She loves to read, but that screen is just, it's got a pull to it. Yeah, and so I think this would be something that would sort of, like you said, meet her where she's at. It's a brilliant idea. Dan, thank you very much.
Good to see you.